This is a new Hiboy C1 electric folding electric bike, and this just might be the companion bike I've been looking for the Tesla. Now I want to thank Hiboy for sending this out to me. I'm not being paid to do this review, but they did send this bike out. So we're gonna take a look at it, see what comes in the box, put it together, see if it fits inside of the trunk of the Model 3 or the Model Y, and then see what this bad boy is actually capable of. Oh man, check this out. They sent me the white version of this. Oh, this is sick. Got some pedals right here. Got the charger and some other tools and stuff. Looks like we got a seat in this box. All right, let's get this thing out of here. This is the first electric bike that I've been sent. I've been sent a lot of really cool electric things, but this is the first bike. Here we go. Stay. So check this out. They sent me the white model. This also can be ordered in black. All right, let's get this thing built. And here she is ready to go. Check this out. You get a disc brake in the back and the front, which will slow down these 14-inch air-filled tires. You get a spring-filled seat, as well as front suspension. You get a rear fender and a front fender, an adjustable seat, and this cute little kickstand. You get this little reflector and headlight combination, and the sprocket and chain is hidden behind this plastic, so no risk of catching loose clothing on it and ripping into the chain. The motor is hidden inside this rear hub and is powered by a battery right above it that can be removed with a little handle and charged externally or while it's still on the bike. And if you want to remove the battery, you're going to need a set of keys that lock the battery in place with a twist. Up top you get a power button, an LCD display, a rear brake and a front brake, and of course a built-in dinger. And on the right side here you have a twist throttle. And when it's time to charge, we're just going to flip the handle down and plug it in. And on the power box you get a light here that's going to show when it's ready to go. Green is go. All right, so one of the first tests I want to do is see if it fits in the back of a Model 3. So this is my 2019 Tesla Model 3. So we'll try this and then we'll try it in the Model Y. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the seat all the way down. Then I'm going to fold down the handlebar, and I'm leaving the battery in it for this test. And that is a no in terms of without the seats being laid down in the back. So if we're trying to put it in here with just the trunk, it does not fit in. And I kind of expected that it would not, because this is made for even adults to ride. And it's just, you know, too long. You can't fit any kind of bike in the back of this. But I thought maybe we're short by about 8 inches. Also, it is a little bit heavy. So someone who maybe doesn't have a ton of arm strength, I mean, it could be kind of hard to lift it and maneuver it in a small trunk like that. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out and we're gonna give this thing a good little run test here. So you can see on the app that we've done 0 miles. We're getting started. I have 81% power. We're on the sports mode. So I'm gonna be using the least economic mode possible, because it's just funner that way. Now, I don't know, oop, kickstand is down. Now, when you start pedaling, what happens is you maybe get like 3 or 4 pedals in, and then all of a sudden the power starts kicking in, and it's like a lot of power. And I don't know if you can see this right now, because it's, you know, kind of bright out, but got 11 miles per hour going on right there, and I have 4 bars, and then it says I'm connected on Bluetooth. So right now I'm just gonna be doing the pedaling mode here and just see how this feels going up. So I'm in sport mode. So one thing that's kind of nice is like that when you get started pedaling, what you can do is you can just sort of like twist the throttle here and get going, and then you can continue with the pedaling afterwards, which is kind of nice. The problem is it does take, again, 3 or 4 cycles on the pedals to actually get started. But once you're started, it's pretty good. And again, you know, I'm used to riding mountain bikes. That was smooth. So, you know, there's a lot of acceleration. You can change gears. This has only one gear. I mean, there is no changing of gears. The other thing about this bike too, because of the fork, I've ridden other electric unicycles and whatnot, and bikes and scooters and everything, and the suspension on them is pretty rough at a lot of times. So riding on sidewalks like this, you're getting big old, you know, it's like loud and crunchy and very rough because of all the different separations in the sidewalk. But this is just very smooth because it has big springs in the seat, as well as it has the front forks. And it has actual air in the tires. They're not just like hard plastic tires. So you're getting lots of traction when it's wet, which here in the Pacific Northwest is really good. So we're kind of averaging 10 miles per hour right now up this hill, and this is quite a steep hill. I mean, people come and ride this with their bikes and just for elevation gain in their bike rides. Cutting around. Okay, so a little bit of struggle right there because it's really steep up and around the corner. It's 9 miles per hour. See if we can get it back up to 10 and hold it. Let's see actually right now if I were to twist the throttle, if I could have it take over. So I'm gonna twist the throttle. Okay, 8 miles per hour. We're in sport mode, the most powerful mode. I'm down to 3 bars of battery as well. 7 miles per hour, back up to 8. So we're kind of holding 8 right there, but it's, I mean, this is an ultimate test on a bike. This is probably 15% grade. It's very steep, very, very steep. We're gaining now, we're at 9. Okay, and if I start pedaling, so right now the power just kicked in. And now we're back up to 10 and 11. So tons of power to help you pedal up a hill like this. Like I'm putting forth no effort at all right now. However, we are putting the battery at the maximum strain in terms of wattage usage to do this up a very, very steep hill and on sport mode. So we're giving it the maximum it can get. And keep in mind, we only had 80% battery to start with. So we'll see once I do a full loop, we'll see what the distance is when I get back home. We'll see what it actually is. But again, if you're just riding on flat, going through town, maybe you've stopped at a supercharger station and you're just gonna go and just kind of, you know, cruise around to couple stops, a little sightseeing while you're waiting, no problem. But of course, like we already showed earlier, you're gonna have to fold seats down if you're gonna take this one with you, or put it on a bike rack of sorts in, you know, on the back, because it's not gonna fit in your Model 3 trunk. But if you have like a, you know, not a Tesla, obviously, bigger trunk, higher trunk, you can like stand it up, side to side, you're gonna have no problem. So when you stop pedaling, it does still continue to accelerate a little bit. Another thing that's kind of weird too is that the rear brake is on this side, where it's usually on this side, and the front brake's over here. So that took me a minute to get used to, but the brakes work scary well, actually. Gotta get used to them. They are disc brakes. So let's check it out, the app here. So you can see, going up that hill, we are at 0.4 miles, was all we've gone, not even half a mile, for 14 minutes. That is not good. And again, I'm 185 pounds, depending on the day. Okay, so I'm gonna try to finish the loop and make it back home with 38% power, because it's gonna be mostly downhill from now on. All right, let's see what kind of speed we can get going on here. Still on sport mode, 12 miles per hour. I'm gonna just put it straight to battery now and just take off here. That's what we can do going down this hill. So 18, 20 miles per hour. Remember that the left handlebar is the brake, the back brake. 22 miles per hour appears to be the maximum. By 23, just hit 23. We're tapping 24 a little bit. Remember, these are small little 14-inch tires, so they can get a little squirrely at high speeds. And you couldn't pedal that fast. You just like resistance, like your gearing isn't such that you can actually pedal at that speed. So the only way to do that is by using the accelerator directly. But we still got 3 bars. Let's see if we can hold just using the pedal, or no pedals, just using the accelerator. Still got 3 bars, 15 miles per hour. We got maybe a 5% grade here. Okay, now we're at 2 bars. Oh, we got it. All kinds of delivery vehicles everywhere here. Okay, we're heading downhill, getting that downhill again. And again, these bumps in the road and everything, super smooth on the bike. Okay, so coming down the hill, gonna slow way down. My gosh, these brakes work crazy good. Like if you're not careful, go over the handlebars kind of good. Like no problem stopping a big heavy guy. 2 bars left, 13 miles per hour. All right, let's just all throttle here. So we're just coasting now. So there's a lot of coast on this thing, just flying. 24 miles per hour down the hill. No resistance from the motor, but yeah, this thing flies downhill. I've rode some of these that have crazy resistance. This does not have that. So there's no throttle response at that speed. All right, we're gonna go around the big loop here. We're gonna see if we can do it. So we actually gained back battery there, guys. I was at 2 bars, and we actually gained battery, and I have 3 bars again. That's crazy. We're just cooking here. 20 miles per hour on the flat. Lots of wind too. You can see the wind around me. Lots of wind resistance. So of course, if I don't want to spend this kind of energy from the motor, if I have a distance to go, then you don't want to use the throttle, you want to just pedal. And together with the power, you can go twice the distance, just about. So far, I don't feel like I'm helping the bike at all. Just the gearing is just such that it's not designed to go 20 miles per hour when you're pedaling. You can't shift into a harder gear to get more resistance. So I'm pedaling, I think like 11, 12 miles per hour is about what you got. I still, even at 12 miles per hour, can barely feel any kind of resistance. It's definitely a cruiser bike. You know, we're not racing with this thing. Woo, that's creepy. I love that, just so quickly, instant. And again, I'm back to 3 bars again. This thing actually has pretty good regenerative motor here. I mean, 2 of those hills put back quite a bit of battery. I don't know exactly how much. I wish there was some way to find out. I guess on a test sometime, if you guys really care, I could go and actually start at the top of the hill, test it, go down and see how much it added back into it. But yeah, you can see it. This is totally flat right here at cruising speed at 11 miles per hour, which is perfect if you're around people on a boardwalk somewhere, going through town on sidewalks. It's perfect. And the way to go faster is to just twist the throttle and accelerate. So now we're at 13, 14, 15, 17, 18 miles per hour, 19, 20. So we're on flat ground here. Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh, guys, take a look at this. This is crazy. So I'm back in my garage. You can see I went 1.5 miles, total runtime of 20 minutes. At the top of the hill, I was at 38% battery power. And just coming down the hill, it went up to almost 50% battery power. And I was at 0.4 miles at 38%. And now I'm at a whole entire mile further, 47% battery, 3 bars. That is wild. That's really, really good regen for this little bike. Okay, so this is going to be more of an official rain test for what this bike is designed for. We're going to go on a really low flat trail and we're going to see what kind of range we can actually get. Now it's like pouring down rain outside, and luckily this bike is rated with, I think, what they call IPF5 or whatever rating. So this is weather built for riding in rain and stuff. So that should not be a problem. I'm going to try to wrap this video up within 5 minutes, including this range test. So let's get on it. So I've been going now for about 2 miles on this road. Is really cool. It's called the Cedar River Trail back here, and there's a lot of, it's wet, so there's mud on it. You got rains falling and bumps in the roads, and with the seat and the front suspension, it's actually been very smooth. I'm able to ride one hand here while I'm recording this. Doesn't seem to be any bit of a problem. And right now, so the settings I have this on, I'm just in regular drive mode. It's not in economy mode, which can go even further. This is regular drive mode. Get plenty of power to the pedal, and this is more than you would ever need. Sport mode felt a little bit more than this, but overall, this is pretty good. So I'm going to be doing the entire drive, kind of going back and forth when I'm in a spot where I'm kind of going downhill a little bit. Use the all electric mode to get my speed up, cover more ground, and then obviously I'll pedal on all the flat and uphill, and that's basically how this whole deal is going to be going. So one thing to point out is this bike does ride really smooth, but I am 6'1", and the very small amount of pedal room I have with my leg length is it's just not very much. So if you're going to be doing a lot of long distance, like commuting with a bike like this, you're gonna very quickly become tired, especially if there's any kind of hills where you got to actually power through. I've been up a couple hills that were a real challenge, and I would definitely say that this bike was designed for someone probably around 5'4", 5'5". Once you get over top of that, it's perfect for just cruising around town, stopping at shops, going on the sidewalk, little bike lane around scenic areas. Like this hill right here, this is probably a 15% grade again, maybe even more than that. Oh my gosh. Get them in drive mode. Pedaling, I'm still able to stay sitting, just tiny little, 8-inch pedals up and down. Well, I still made it. That's actually pretty impressive, to be honest. The motor is actually, I have no issue with the amount of motor that this thing has. And to be honest, right now is the first time it just dropped down to 4 bars. I've had 5 bars the whole trip so far, and I'm probably right around the 3.5 mile mark. I'm heading back home. The reality is I'm not even gonna touch. I can't even touch around here. The amount of range this thing could actually do. It's gonna have plenty for anything I would ever use it for. I don't know what you'd be doing unless you climbed a hill constantly for a very long time. I don't know any reason why you would ever use up the range on this little bike. For the small battery that it has, it's a very, very capable bike. So let's flip over to just electric here. Give the legs a rest after that hill. And we're gonna shoot around to a different way back home here. Again, lots of mud, lots of water, and these fenders appear to be doing a great job. I haven't had anything come up and hit me in the face or anything like that. The seat has been holding up pretty well, although I will say it's almost too mushy because of the large springs on both sides and because me being 180 pounds. When I lean to the left or right, it feels like the seat is actually tipping. Well, it is definitely tipping with the suspension, and that can get a little bit weird sometimes, but it is making it so, you have a fairly comfortable ride the entire time. That's for sure. I actually like that. It is a little bit small too. I do kind of go over it a little bit, but
Again, I think this is designed for someone a little bit smaller than me. So I'm gonna pedal this on home and then we'll check the range.
So here's a challenge with doing an actual range test with something that only goes 9 to 11 miles per hour when you're pedaling, or 24 miles per hour if you're all electric downhill, is that it would take forever to do that range test. So I wasn't able to max out this by any means to see what it can do, but here's what we actually did today. So I ended up going 4.7 miles and I have 63% battery remaining. And I did that all on the drive mode. And as I mentioned, I did a lot with the full electric, anything that was like flat and downhill a little bit, because you can't pedal, because the way the gearing is set up, you can't pedal enough to keep up with the speed. You're just free spinning at that point. I did it all with the electric. I just had that pinned down every time it's flat or downhill to keep the pace actually moving along. 9 miles per hour when you're trying to do a range test, when you're just trying to commute, is very slow. But that's not a negative on this bike, because this is designed to be kind of zipping around town, going around through shops, on sidewalks, around people, in which case that is plenty fast. Probably don't want to go any faster than that anyway. I have nothing negative to say about the motor power. I think for the small motor this thing has, it packs a real punch. I'm to the upper level of the weight for this thing, and it went up some very steep hills, 15 to 20% grade, which is incredibly impressive. It felt like the biggest difference between drive and sport mode was just the top end of what the all electric mode will do. It felt like the amount of torque you had was the same on drive and sport, but sport would allow me to go up with the throttle past 15 miles per hour, whereas when I was on drive, I don't know, I just was never able to go over 15 miles per hour, so I think that's where that difference is. So I don't think range is an issue at all for this kind of bike. I think you're gonna be done your trip or whatever you're doing long before this thing runs out of battery, as long as you're on flat, going through a city kind of thing. Again, going uphill, you're gonna suck the energy out of any of these types of things. But if you use it for what it was designed for, like what I did today, no problem. Now you can see there's a lot of mud on it. The fenders did a pretty good job. You can see underneath the bike here that there is some mud splattered on it, and that's pretty good, but you go up a little higher and there's not much at all. Not underneath the seat anywhere. You can see that the fender on the very back down here did a really great job. We look underneath the seat, there's almost nothing. I can't even see any mud. Let's look on the back of it. Yeah, there's pretty much nothing back there, which means that it did a really great job keeping the back of my shirt and myself clean, and that's actually really impressive. I think the seat is fine. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I think with small commutes it's gonna be okay. I was a little bit saddle sore after 5 miles, but over there on that seat, it's no different. I'm that way no matter what, so I don't think that's a real issue. I'm very glad it does have the shocks down here, the springs down here, because otherwise, you know, it would be a lot rougher ride. But I think for a bike that's under $500, that's collapsible, that has a very decent motor, very decent range, I don't think there's a lot you can really complain about. That's going to wrap up this review, and I'll see you guys on the next one.